Life is hectic, demanding, and doesn't stop. When honest with ourselves, we must confess we often don't know what the hell we're doing. The Larkcast is an ongoing conversation about the inclusive and mischievous nature of God's presence through the lens of all the things that make up this phenomenon we refer to as life. Astonishing grace and refreshing honesty collide right here for your weekly encouragement.
3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Larkcast. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. Welcome back to the Larkcast, friends.
Good to see you. It's been a minute since we've been on here.
Yeah, man.
Hello to everyone who listens and stays in tune with this conversation. Life gets busy.
Yeah.
But we had some time this week and we're hopping on and just in time before Christmas. So, man, we can't go through, a Christmas season without a Larkcast.
Yeah. I got some messages from some faithfuls out there. Hey, dude, I need a Larkcast from the Larkcats.
They weren't happy that we
Pronto, what's going on? What is going on?
Absent. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah,
we're still alive.
Still going.
Friends.
Yeah.
And still doing the Larkcast. So
yeah, we just needed a few weeks. Just needed a few weeks off. Just some craziness in life, and yeah, it's good to be back though.
It is good to be back, and I'm finally back. I'm finally in a Christmas spirit. So this podcast came at a good time for me because I wasn't for a good while.
Yeah.
And I think
since August.
Well, like my daughter Corinne, my youngest daughter, and her friend Sophie's dad is like, he's about Christmas, dude. Like, dude is in October, he's like already like getting his house set up. He's not one of those crazies to where he turns his Christmas lights on in October. He turns them on closer to Thanksgiving. But they're about Christmas in their house.
Yeah.
And they were kind of calling me a little bit of a Scrooge. And I was being a little bit of a Scrooge, like right around Thanksgiving, because it seems like Christmas comes earlier and earlier from like a commercial marketing standpoint.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I was just kind of hating on that because I love Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving so much. And I think Thanksgiving needs to be its own thing. And the reason why I love Thanksgiving is because it's a less complicated holiday.
Yeah.
And I think the food is better. And especially since I started brining and smoking the turkey, which I did 2 turkeys and a ham this year because we had a bunch of people over.
No shameless plug there.
I was just like, bro, I was like, could we just please have Thanksgiving? So I was just like in this like bad mood. And the thing that changed it for me was in my office building. I'm in a kind of like a historic courthouse in the middle of my town. And there's another photographer in here. Her name's Etta. She's like this little Eastern European lady who's done some really, really cool projects over the years. And her studio is just like all, decked out. And she's a really, really cool lady. And so I was crossing the street. I was going to go link up with a friend who was out of town who actually lost his dad close to Thanksgiving. And he was just like, hey, dude, you around? I need a Tony hug right now. So he was eating with his family. They were prepping for, funeral arrangements and all that. And I went to go meet him on the corner. And Etta was across the street. I go, what's up, Etta? She goes, hello, Tony. She's like, are you? She's like, Tony. I'm screwing this up. It's like,
come on, dude. You could do better than this.
I could do way better than this.
I've heard you do impressions.
She's like, Tony, are you ready for the holidays? Are you ready for Christmas? And I'm like, Etta, I gotta tell you, like I'm feeling like a little bit of a Scrooge, you know?
Mm.
I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. And she just looks me dead in the eyes. I think she like grabbed my arm. She goes, "But you look like Santa Claus." And I started dying laughing. And it's like it's true, like you can't just have a primarily just big white beard around Christmas and just be a Scrooge. And just the way she said it, I was just like, I started laughing, and I was like, it's true.
Yeah, dude.
I need to not let you know, the the consumeristic marketing machine ruin it for me because it is a great
I
season.
get it though. I get it, man. It's no different. It's really no different than like a lot of things, whether, in life, business, sports, um, politics, you know what I mean? Like we get bothered, bro, when something starts crowding out something that we believe in, right? Something that we're for, something that we love. And I feel that same pain. My favorite holiday, my favorite season, holiday season is Christmas, but my favorite holiday, like the day, is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, dude. It's
Always
probably
has
why it's
been.
probably why we're good friends
Yeah, it's just, you get to eat all day,
all day.
right? And not just like, munch on like some cheese and crackers, bro, but like eat, throw down. You know what I mean? People bringing out, the good stuff,
Yep.
no stops. And I love Thanksgiving. And I
Football
hate
on
that
all
it,
day.
and it just gets crowded out more and more to where it just feels like this like little quick add on in the middle of Christmas now.
Yep.
And it's annoying, man.
It is annoying.
It's annoying, which that's part of like what we do here, as a ministry is we help people learn to find the freedom of joy and peace in the trials, right? As things in life are crashing in and crowding out things of beauty. How do you cling to the good news, dude? Like, right? Like in light of that. And
Mm.
it's not that hard for me when it's in the realm of politics or sports or business. Like I don't get as bothered, but I've had to really exercise faith this season as people minimized Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
You start connected with, the disciples asking Jesus if he could rain fire down on a village. Yeah, I just want to just set fire to this target, dude.
Bro, yeah, I was about to say in October, sitting in my car in the parking lot, like, Lord, I think you should burn this thing down when everybody leaves. I don't want any stock boys to get injured,
But it's like
but
you see yeah, man, it's, um, Christmas is a complicated holiday, and
yeah,
especially, everyone's trying to celebrate, so there's a lot of dates flying around and calendar stuff and then buying for, the kids and the cousins and, all that and hoping they like your gift and, all that kind of stuff. I
yeah.
mean, not that I do a lot of that. I just see the effects of it on my wife, I don't like that for her, you know.
No, no, I
And
don't
I,
either.
I'm not so much of a support on the buying of the presents. I'm more of a support when, the little nephew's like, yo, I think I might take this back. And then I'm like, I just want to like,
Yeah,
slap him. And then I just like rub my wife's back. Like, it's okay.
yeah.
It's all right. You're a good aunt still.
You started thinking about that fire in the village and the disciples again. Little
It's
Johnny over
true.
here. I didn't ask for this. I don't even play with these. Do you have a gift
Well,
receipt?
well, his line was, I forgot I put that on my list.
Oh, dude. Oh,
Dude.
dude. Like my heart hurts, man, just
I
hearing that.
dude, I called him out so fast right in front of everybody.
Not you.
Me. No one is safe. No one is safe.
Old ladies, small children. It
No,
don't
actually,
matter.
I called him out while locking eyes with his parents.
There you
I,
go.
yeah, I did the passive aggressive thing. I go, in fact, what was my line? My line was right in front of everybody. I was like, man, nothing to encourage you um, as a gift giver than just hearing, man, I forgot I put this on my list.
Oh man, it's bad, dude. And you know, the good side, like, because my wife is very similar to Pam, loves thinking, planning, buying, wrapping, very much like a love language. You know what I mean? For her. And then of course there's the stress, the anxiety that she carries within that I don't personally carry. Because every Christmas I'm pretty like I lean in, bro. Christmas morning, like I'm leaning in. Like it's a good
Like you're in,
show.
like you're in it, dude.
I'm in it because
Yeah.
I want to see what I got everybody. You know?
Yes.
So I
So
get
good, man. So good. I think I've said
I,
it on. I've said it on here before. Yeah, every year my uncle would be like, "What'd I get you?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What'd you get me, dude? You went shopping for this?" Nope,
right.
nope. Aunt Nancy did.
But then you get older and you realize what old uncle's talking about.
Yes, and I am definitely unk status for sure,
Right. What I
for
get you, man.
sure.
I mean, I work hard. I provide, I pay for her, and I'm happy to do it. I ain't making a long list of gifts, the way that yeah. But all this said, and you could it's one of those things like at least like within the Christian world, man, there's always like, that debate around Christmas, like the gift giving, do we squash it? Should we be
Oh
given,
gosh,
I'm just saying, like, I just remember, especially when I was pastoring, churches, man, like, in the machine,
yeah.
there's always like that rub, that conversation, and I get it, man. Like, the heart of the message that we, right,
You
take
mean what to
time
do? Like how? Like should we participate in all this
yes, do you participate in the
consumerism?
system, the
Are we
consumerism,
are we allowed to have a Santa figurine in the house?
well, I never was a part of anything that was like fighting that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty extreme.
yeah, it was more just, is this a chance for like the church, right, around the country to not participate in all the buying of more stuff for everybody who has stuff, but instead, right, we could give to, and then, you fill in the blank.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
For
I
sure.
have found like, to me, it's like, why minimize it like that? Like let's especially if you see the church as who we are, and the table is a simple expression of where to get around good news and celebration, like you really free up time and money, dude, to give to things year round,
Sure.
right? So that was kind of like the irony for me always looking back at it was like, oh, so we can consume and offer a service of for consumers year round and collect millions of dollars here.
Yes.
And that's okay because every year at Christmas, we do the opposite.
Yeah.
We give to this thing. And I'm like, well, then I
Yeah, I was
stepped
gonna say.
away and I was like, what if we spent 11 months giving away? Because we didn't spend money and time and energy on church buildings and services that aren't in the Bible. And
y-
and then in Christmas, we could have fun and really like have fun buying things for each other.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Yeah,
flip it.
the
But of course,
irony
they didn't want to hear that.
irony of any church leader um
Yeah.
speaking out against consumerism. Um and it's like you'll see it too in the business world. You get these like Christian these people who own companies and they're Christians and they're trying to, live out this, kingdom thing and they're
Hmm.
like, we're not doing a Christmas party this year. We're taking this money and we're going to go, serve over here and all this. It's like, yeah, dude, that's exactly what all the people who bust their ass for an entire year want to hear. no Christmas party where we get to just eat, laugh, hang, and connect. Now you just signed us all up for this volunteer thing.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
come on, man. Just throw the
Yeah.
damn party.
Amen, dude.
Celebrate your
Amen.
people. Get your
It's the only
kids
way to
the
do it.
get your kids the thing within your means. Have fun with it.
Yep.
Like we talk about it, and we all live in this kind of like, culture. And it's real easy to see around Christmas for sure. And it brings up, it brings up the conversation. To be conscious of it, is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy how some just like the hustle and the bustle and the all the gifts and all the to-dos and all the things you're trying to cram into a month, it really just crowds out something that is true that we celebrate really all year long, every day.
Yeah.
But this season in a focused way, uh, which is the incarnation, that God
Yeah.
became flesh, God came to us. And that is, again, it's something that I think about a lot, but you highlight in a particular way. I've been thinking through just on Sunday morning. I want to just bring a little something, for the family. Some stuff that's just been like swirling around in my head, and it's really nothing new for me. Kind of like the same thought I've had for like the last 7, 8 years, ever since meeting you and rethinking, what the gospel is. But that whole Emmanuel, God with us, that um, God's not a distant God,
Yeah.
demanding that we make demanding that we make our way to him, but he made his way to us. He entered this world. And so therefore, because of the incarnation, because God came and united himself to humanity, um, God is forever the God of what is, not what ought to be.
Mm.
And it's so good news. It's such good news, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. It's news like that that really stops you in your tracks, you know?
Well, it's the panic of your brokenness. Like if you see, like if you have like like you're wrestling with some stuff personally, or maybe you have like in your marriage, you have some relational stuff that's just like it's not what it ought to be, or with parenting, it's not what it ought to be, right? And you see these sort of like gaps, and this falling short, this brokenness, this quote
Hmm.
unquote sin, and you begin to panic, and you think to yourself, "Oh man, like God is on the other side of this thing." Like he's given the attaboys, um, and he's close to the ones who are not struggling like this. And you feel this distance, between God,
Yeah.
which kind of forces you, that shame forces you to sort of like, man, I gotta get it together, man. I gotta start getting my, shit together. I gotta start getting my act right. And it's like, no, dude,
Yeah.
his love and his presence right now at the bottom, at the bathroom floor, at the worst of it.
Yeah.
That's the incarnation.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
cross.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? It's fixed news. It's uh it's the truth about what is, not what ought to be. And that to believe that news is it doesn't create a new reality, right? It's really just the awakening to reality. Like all of a sudden you've got like these glasses on and you can see that yeah, there's a whole list here of what ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, amen to not doing things, right, that are disruptive to our lives or to the lives of other people, right? All for that. We're not
Totally.
But the reality is, whether you do or don't get it together, or how well you get it or don't get it together, or how bad it looks right now, whatever the story is, wherever you're at, this truth remains. Jesus is present in you and in who everybody else in and around, right? This struggle right now, present, alive, living, done. Can't take it back. Can't undo it.
Nope.
Can't escape it. Like this is something worthy of, right? Celebration. Um, there's a there's a every year for like the last few years it's like the only one thing I've ever done probably on social media in my life and remember to do again is just this simple line that I wrote, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. We didn't need a manual. We needed Emmanuel, right? Like that's the story of Jesus, is God looking down and saying, you don't need a manual. You don't need a program. You don't need a list of what should be and how to get there. You need me.
Hmm.
Emmanuel means God with us.
Yep.
And anyways, every year I've posted that, and it's one of those things for me that just never, and just that truth never gets old. And
Heck
I'm
yeah,
just going to
man.
say this really quick because I know that there can be the wrestling on the other end of that. Like, well, I'm having a hard time believing that, because I mean, I hear what you're saying about Jesus. This is a recent conversation I had with a guy, and I love all of what you're saying about Jesus and what he declared. But I have this whole Old Testament in my Bible that looks opposite of that. And so I'm having a real hard time like celebrating this idea of God with us in view of like this God being like Jesus, because what do I do with, right, this huge section of my Bible where he doesn't look like that? And it was a moment recently where I found myself sitting there and all of a sudden like a light bulb goes off in your head, call it the Spirit of God, right? Call it whatever. Um, where I was like, man, the entire Old Testament did not drop from heaven written. These are pieces of what God is like, breadcrumbs that flawed and frail people are picking up on. And they're picking it up while they're living in a place of just a complete misunderstanding of who God is and who they are, what life is, what faith is, what good is, what wrong is, right? That's the world they're operating out of.
Hmm.
And they're bringing that delusion into what they think God is like and what they're hearing him say. And you see those breadcrumbs and those misunderstandings throughout the entire Old Testament. And then when Jesus shows up, when God becomes flesh, the incarnation, what we celebrate at Christmas, Emmanuel, what does he look to all of the religious leaders and say? In a sense, right? In John, you have no idea what God is actually like. For no one has seen the Father but the Son. For no one knows the Father but the Son. And the Son is here, God in the
Hmm.
flesh, to reveal to you that you are loved. You're just blind.
Yeah.
Not that you're bad, it's that you're blind. And you've been blind to this reality of Him in and among you this whole time. So much so that when God actually becomes flesh and is talking to you, you have no idea who He is.
Yeah.
Think about that, dude.
Yeah. I don't know why he took his time the way he did, or, you know, you know, the
Yeah.
timing of, the sending of his son or whatever. I don't have answers for that. But I do know that God was doing the same thing he was doing in Jesus prior, slowly revealing himself through a people,
Yeah.
in a time and in a place. There was context to all those things, um, those primitive cultures and those polytheistic kind of pagan cultures. worshiping, what they could see,
Yeah.
um, in fertility and crop and rain and sun and, all that. And they
Oh yeah.
need like this physical manifestation for those things. And, um, but, John 1:18, I was just reading it with my youngest, Corinne. Um, she gets all like tripped up, on like sometimes we'll say like the Father and the Son, that there's one God, Jesus is, like all that kind of stuff. And she's like,
Hmm.
I don't get it. And I'm like, yeah, either do I. I'm just showing you what's here. We were reading John 1, John 1:18. No one's ever seen God except the one who's at his right hand, and he came to make him known.
Hmm.
And he came to make it, he's made him known just in the simplicity of just a birth, just in his uniting himself to humanity and coming here, the move to come here versus, what most of us think, even knowing that God became flesh, is they think that it's primarily a message. The Christian life is about moves we make toward him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that frames, everything. And, my son, both my oldest kids are boys and they have birthdays in December. And so they'll get, cards and stuff. And, we have a lot of people in our family that are Christians, and, they'll say these like, little sayings and phrases, it's meant to encourage, verses or whatever. And I've been surprised just like how much of them are just about, it's not the encouragement of the news of what God is like, as so much as it's sort of like these encouragements or these sort of marching orders of like, stay close
Yeah.
to Jesus, keep God at the center, all this.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like, and I just kind of like, I kind of have like a little, and my one son's like, Dad, like, why you get so like bent out of shape? Like they're just trying to like encourage me. I'm like, dude, because like the central message of this whole thing, dude, is that Jesus stays close to us in the midst of all of our ups and downs and here's and there's and our growth and all of our, just all of life, the whole package of what that means and everything we will experience, do and don't do in the middle of that, the good and the bad, this crazy wild thing that we call life. The mystery of all that is that Jesus sticks close to us and that he's committed to us. And we try to like for like to whatever degree in our own faith and our own frailty and whatever, we try to stick close to him, and we should. And it's good, to lean into this thing called a relationship with God. But dude, there's a big difference between that being done under the banner of, man, I gotta really stick close to Jesus and keep God at the center, versus under the banner of God with us, and you are faithless and I'm faithful and I'll never leave you and never forsake you. There's a big difference.
I agree with you, man. You're talking about the difference between the Christianity that you find that Jesus is unveiling, right, versus what most of us were handed,
Yep.
right? We've said it a million times. We're just going to keep saying it. We're a species that is in pursuit of a sense of security that we can control. That's why we love all the advice and the marching orders and the systems, the structures, all these things that Jesus never said, all these ideas about God that aren't actually in the scripture, and all these systems that float out of that blah, blah, blah. People are just going to continue to cling to that. Um, and hopefully we can be a voice that helps them let go and really start to bask in that truth, man. Like, damn, dude, like he lives in me because he chose to, right,
He, he chose it.
to get in me, right? Like I live in him because he chose to pull all of humanity into his life, in his death, right? In his resurrection. Like, so when you hear things like, yeah, man, like you really need to try to get like close to Jesus, I'm like, you find your very existence in him.
Stay
I
close.
don't know how you can get any closer than that.
Well, what's funny is after that was written, I started doing like I started running little like fake like wide receiver routes. Like, here's Jesus. Watch out. Keep up. Stay close.
It's,
Catch
oh,
up. Here we go. We're
here
going
we
over this
go.
way.
Yeah.
Uh, I got some separation from you. Better catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. Before long, it's God brings gifts to those who get it together, aka Santa Claus. And here's an elf on the shelf to make. I'm just saying, like, you look at all these things and I'm not, it's like,
And I was trying to stay
he,
close to Jesus. Next thing I know, went out to Chipotle with my friends, and I turned around, and he's freaking gone, dude. I'm like, where'd you go, bro?
he was like, we're not doing this. We're, we're not doing this. You could have got this same meal at McDonald's for less. You're not a steward. I'm out of here.
You call
I'm just,
yourself a Christian.
it's just the insanity, man, that has just come with all this. But the good news here is like Emmanuel, God with us and him, one way, right? His doing, his covenant, his faithfulness. Like that's what this is about, man. And that's what we celebrate. And I think the more we help one another celebrate this truth, the more we learn to live in the freedom of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, man, that's news worth celebrating.
It
And
really
yeah,
is, man.
your Old Testament, right, picture of God can be, right, distracting. It can be disturbing. It can be a legitimate, like, wait, what do I do with this? I spent the last 2 weeks in a deep dive study on that myself personally, like, because I wanted to, really help this individual that I was talking with that had this pushback. And I actually dropped my findings in a new piece that I just wrote that's on the website. If you click on resources, there's a link there, icon says this is not that. Anyways, you'll see one in there. This is not that scripture. And it gets into like why these stories are in the Old Testament, how they don't contradict Jesus or the news, right? That
Hmm.
he's with us. He's with us all. And yeah, feel free to check that out.
Check
Hopefully
it
it's
out.
helpful. Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, man. It's good. It's good to be reminded of just the simple things, right? It's never really the need for, how do I say this in the simplest way? I think there's a initial season when we become believers where we need or when we start to rethink like what Jesus actually said, where we need to dive in to the scriptures and like really rethink things, right? And according to what's actually written
Hmm.
versus what we were handed. I always feel like that's a good season. But the life of following Jesus is not a life sentence of sermons and studies,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't need this for the rest of your days. The bigger story here, which I'm just going to say fits right into what we're saying. The bigger story here is like, it's not what is true, because yeah, you need a season to dive into what's actually true. The bigger story is what what keeps you from believing what's true,
Hmm.
and how do you learn to live in what's true.
Hmm.
That's to me is like actually the journey of faith that's in front of you. That is lifelong.
And the joy of passing it on.
Well, I think that's a key factor, man, in the how you believe it. Yeah,
A
how
hundred,
you
a hundred
enjoy it.
percent. We've talked about it so many times, dude.
Yeah,
So many times. And, the reality of just going and being a friend, and sticking around long enough to have that conversation, you know?
yeah, yeah. Because I
Waiting
could spend
on
a
waiting
day,
on that certain someone.
right? You could spend a day with somebody and help them grab onto Emmanuel in the scripture, despite all they've ever heard. But it'll be a lifetime in front of you of believing the truth of Emmanuel.
Yep.
And hopefully this podcast brings a little encouragement to that fighting the good fight of faith.
I'm out
Merry
of coffee,
Christmas.
which is sad. but
Merry Christmas, my friends.
Merry Chrysler, Russell.
From the Waffle House to you.